Hey. Thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast on the BLEAV Podcast Network, brought to you by FanDuel, where today was a fun day of basketball and I had a nice little 7-legger going. 7-leg parlay, right? Plus 33-14. Could have turned $5 into 170 if Tyrese Maxey had scored one more point. I had him for 30. He scored 29, had 14 in the fourth quarter. So that's the fun part. You know, it was just a little $5 bet just to have a little fun and enjoy this glorious day of basketball that is Martin Luther King Day. So make sure you stop by FanDuel. If you're a sicko like myself and you like to watch all the basketball, make it a little bit more interesting right there on FanDuel. Suns win tonight playing the Brooklyn Nets and have a clean sweep of the NYC. They took care of two boroughs in the past couple of days, taking the New York Knicks out on Saturday night, right? Saturday night? Yep, Saturday night. And then here on Monday night, they take care of the Brooklyn Nets by a final score of 126-117. And you got to give it up to the Brooklyn Nets. They fought in this one. It felt like it was going to be a nice, easy, Washington Wizards-esque type of victory for the Suns, right? The Brooklyn Nets didn't make it that easy. So we're going to talk about that and much more on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, which is also live streaming on SunsGeek's channel as well. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you rate, make sure you review. And thank you, everybody. We finally hit 4,000 subscribers on our YouTube page. It's funny. I went back and I looked at it. We've been doing the podcast since 2019. We've been live streaming the podcast and doing post-game podcasts since 2021, that season, the 2021. Well, we've been doing it since, 2021, the year we went to the finals. It took us 2 years of live streaming to get to 3,000 subscribers. 2023, it took us another 3 years to get all the way up to 4,000. So, hey, I just appreciate you guys take a little time out of your day, press play, and like hanging out with us. So pop them if you got them. Let's talk about this win for the Suns.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
What is going on, SunsGeek? Welcome to the show. How you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me back on the channel. We are co-streaming this live on both channels, and congratulations, man, on 4K subscribers. Let's keep that number up. If you are a Suns Geekster, if you're a Jam Star, go ahead and subscribe. If you're new to both of our channels, subscribe to both of us. But congratulations on 4K subs, man. That's awesome.
No, much appreciated. And thank you to everybody who subbed. You know, we just sit here and crank out the content. It's one thing that both you and I do pretty consistently. We're always making videos. We're always doing post-game podcasts here. If it has to do with the Phoenix Suns, we know that you're going to make a video about it. I'm doing some more YouTube shorts to create some more engagement because it's fun. We love this team. We watch this team religiously through thick and thin, and it's a good way to connect with our audience. So everybody who's taking a little time out of their day, one thing I always recommend is throw those notifications on, especially in SunsGeek's case. You never know when he's going to go live. And so, you know, we're going live after every single game. But if you don't know when SunsGeek's going live, you have those notifications on, boom, you get it right to your phone. So that's the way to do it. All right, well, let's talk about this game. A 126-117 over the Brooklyn Nets brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
All right, so I've got two questions here, and I'll start with this question for you, Brandon. Are Martin Luther King Day hoops better than Christmas Day hoops?
Oh, that's a great question, but I'm sorry. I'm a little old school. I'm a little biased when it comes to Christmas. I got to go with Christmas Day hoops, but maybe Martin Luther King Day hoops are starting to climb the rankings a little bit in terms of better, more entertaining hoops. So I'm going to have to go with Christmas, though. What do you think?
I think it's MLK Day, and maybe this is recency bias on my behalf because today was the third time that I've had MLK Day off in like my career, right? I worked,
Oh,
for
yeah.
those of you who've watched the pod for quite some time, I worked in the hospitality industry for a long time. I worked in the restaurant business in hospitality for a long time. And, Monday's a Monday, right? Like we didn't really distinguish. In fact, when those holidays occur, we see an uptick in covers. So I'm there.
Yeah.
And I've switched my career around. I have today off. And so this is the third year in a row where I've sat, and I enjoy this day more than Christmas for a couple of reasons. One, Christmas is for family. You're watching the basketball games in the background while you're interacting with family. You're having Christmas dinner.
True
You're
that.
opening gifts, so
You're
you might
drinking.
catch. Yeah, exactly. Have some eggnog, and in the Suns' case, over the past couple Christmases, we always got like the last game. So it's like I have to watch the game.
Yeah.
I have to do a podcast, what have you.
True that.
Whereas today, there's a ton of games on starting at 11 a.m. at local Arizona time. And it's not just, the lineup of 5 games. Almost everybody's playing today. So I can channel surf. I can bounce between games. I'm not waiting for this game to end in order for this game to begin. Now, yeah, the matchups don't carry the same weight as a Christmas Day matchup would occur, but you still get some exciting matchups along the way. I was enjoying the Dallas Mavericks game, playing the Knicks, right? And watching the Knicks just implode. I'm like, hey, we just beat the shit out of that team. Looks like Dallas did too. I had that 7-leg parlay on FanDuel where I'm sitting there watching different things. I had SGA for 30 points and he gets 30 points. I had, what else did I have in this parlay? It was pretty, Nick Claxton tonight for 8 rebounds. He got 8 rebounds. Najee Marshall for 15 points. It's just fun. It's kind of fun because there's a lot of volume out there. And again, I can chill. I don't have to entertain. I don't have to eat food, and have Christmas dinner. So it's just a personal preference. The other question I have for you, bringing it back to this game, okay, is coming into today, there was a lot of talk about the potential return of this guy, Jalen Green. Green, 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 green. I haven't got to play that drop very much this year, but a lot of talk potentially about him coming back. He was listed as questionable yesterday. I know you made a video about it, talking about him being listed finally as questionable, hasn't played since November 8th. And then we found out midway through the day, John Gambadoro from Arizona Sports kind of let us in on the news first that he wasn't going to play tonight. He's going to play tomorrow night when the Suns play the Sixers. Was there any possibility that this could have been an emotional trap game for the Suns? Because they're excited to get somebody back. They're ready to welcome back the person who's potentially going to be the second best scorer on this team, and then he's not playing again. Was there any possibility of an emotional trap game in this, or is this team above that kind of stuff? Question. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, it keeps cutting in and out. I heard some of that, but not all of it. Sorry, guys.
All good. Do you think that this potentially was an emotional trap game for the Suns because Jalen Green didn't play, or is this team above that stuff?
Maybe Jalen Green should have played in this game because this game was a lot closer than I wanted it to be. And we don't know how Jalen Green would have looked. He could have been extremely rusty and missed a bunch of shots and been slow and all of that. So maybe it's a good thing to save him for tomorrow against the Sixers. But there was a part of me that was kind of like, I kind of wanted Jalen Green to play for the exact reasons what I just said. Like he could have gotten a few shots up, ran up and down the court, gotten a few minutes here and there. But yeah, this definitely was a trap game. Is a lot closer for comfort. But even though the Suns have sometimes struggled to close out games this season, especially tonight, I'm glad that they still were able to close out this game. Wasn't the prettiest game, but a win is a win, as you already know, in a very deep Western Conference. I'm glad the Suns got the win tonight.
Sounds like we should start off with some things that go in the burn book, my friend.
The Suns Jam Session Burn Book.
The Suns Jam Session Burn Book.
So this is a win for the Phoenix Suns, but there were some things kind of along the way that were frustrating, right? And we start with the second quarter, in my opinion. 15-2 run to end the quarter. The Brooklyn Nets score 42 points on the Phoenix Suns. And now, granted, they scored 32. The Suns scored 32, but they were outscored by 10 points. And a game where they were up 20, they walk into the half, only up by a total of 3 points. Now, in that quarter, the Brooklyn Nets, absolutely in fuego. They go 8 of 14 from beyond the arc. That's 57%. They're 14 of 21 from the field, 66.7%, 42 total points. What happened in that quarter, SunsGeek? What did the Suns lose focus? What was it? Because they were up big and then a 15-2 run, and they're only up 3 going into the locker room.
Yeah, that's what's so surprising about the NBA, maybe the past 8 years. I don't want to say 6, 7, although I just said 6, 7. But you get it though. The past decade, this has been the NBA. No lead is safe in the NBA. And this was clearly a no defense game. This is the kind of game where guys like Dillon Brooks, who I know we're going to talk about later, can find their shot again. This is an all offensive game, tons of three, especially when you're a young Brooklyn Nets team who is used to losing, who is used to being down early. They're just going to keep launching shots until they're back in the game. And again, I don't care if you're the worst team in the league or the best team in the league. If you allow your opponent to get hot and to make that many threes, especially in the first half, giving them life and giving them confidence, they can sneak up on you. I've said so many times on my channel, and I'm sure you've said it too, that no lead is safe in the NBA. And tonight was just another example of that. The Nets are a bad team. They're probably going to be bad for a few more years. Doesn't matter, man. You can lose on any night. And this might be a blessing in disguise, though, because hopefully the Suns were like, okay, we cannot take any opponent lightly on any night, especially in that first half, man. What the heck happened in that second quarter, dude?
I tell you, Jordan Ott will definitely use what happened in the second quarter and some of in the fourth, right? Because the Suns were outscored 28-23 in the fourth.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Again, at one point in the fourth quarter, the Suns had a lead as high as 18. They end up winning the game by 9 points, and it was as close as 4 points going down the stretch. So he's definitely going to utilize the film that was produced tonight, both the second and the fourth, and being like, guys, we have to maintain focus. And that's kind of what I feel happened. And it was odd to see, in all honesty, because it's something we haven't seen very often here from this version of the Phoenix Suns is a lack of focus. Last year it happened all the time, and it would happen numerous times in a game over the past 2 seasons. The Suns would go up 20 and then they would be losing and wash, rinse, repeat, multiple instances of a lack of focus. And I guess it makes sense because when you have Coach Bud Light out there, he's just trying to coach the middle. He's seeing 3 and he's just trying to coach what's going on in the middle. Whereas Jordan Ott's been a lot more locked in this one. But again, it's the first time we've seen in a while the Suns lose that focus. And credit to the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, this is a young team, and we know this. And like you just said, SunsGeek, no lead is safe in the NBA. And especially when you're playing against young teams, if they get any semblance of confidence, it can get very scary very quick. You take a look at tonight, total amount of 3-pointers made. They had 15. They were 15 of 38. That's 40%. It's 39.5. That's 40% from deep. Michael Porter Jr. had 2. He was 2 of 10. And I'm going to talk about him here in a second. But you have Terrence Mann makes 2. Drake Powell, rookie, 3 of 6. Zaire Williams, rookie, right? Zaire Williams a rookie. One of the
he's young, yeah, I don't know if he's a rookie. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 100%.
He's young though.
Yeah. Let's see. Nolan Traore, the French kid, he had a 3. Yeah. Tyrese Martin, Danny Wolf, 2 of 4. The kid from Michigan. Yep. So they had a lot of young guys out there who were starting to feel themselves a little bit, and the Suns allowed them to do so. Now, granted, it's the NBA. Opposing teams are going to shoot 3. In some instances, when you're playing a team like this, who coming into this game, this is a bottom third of the league relative to 3-point shooting percentage team. You're okay with them taking that shot, but you still have to make them think about it. And it's funny because the only guy they made think about it on a consistent basis was Michael Porter Jr., the guy who's been cooking for them this year, the guy who you should be worried about when you play them. What do you think about the Suns and how good of a job they did on Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah, and maybe we shouldn't be overthinking this game too much, because I even heard the Suns assistant coach at halftime say we got to stop some of those threes, but we're also going to live with some of them. So maybe was the game plan. Like, hey, let's just lock down Michael Porter Jr., who besides, I think his shooting percentage is having like a career year across the board. Like he's putting up numbers, definitely should be in some votes in terms of an all-star reserve selection, having a great year and all that. And they did a fantastic job just locking him down, especially in that third quarter and really in the second half. So they did a great job. And maybe that was just the Suns' MO tonight. Just, hey, let's stop him. We can live and die by these threes. They almost died by those threes. But, maybe that was the game plan. I don't know, man.
Well, I'll tell you.
Sorry, I don't know. We're having some internet troubles too. Sorry.
You're all good. You're all good. It's like So Says Jay says in the chat that you definitely get your internet from Paul, his co-host on Fan the Flames, because his internet's always dodgy as well. 23 attempts for Michael Porter Jr., 23 points. Mission accomplished. And to your point, SunsGeek, that's exactly right. That's the game plan. And we're going to see this in a couple weeks, right? The Brooklyn Nets come to Phoenix on Tuesday, January 27th, which is also Dave King's Bright Side night. So if anybody's in the house, let me know. I'll be there. I'll be interviewing Rex Chapman before the game. And then, we're sending over 400 kids to go see a Phoenix Suns basketball game. And we can probably expect a lot of the same. Hey, we are going to harass and frustrate and target on defense Michael Porter Jr., make him work for his points. And if the ancillary guys beat us, the ancillary guys beat us. And they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. They had 7 guys in double figures tonight. But they themselves, the Suns, had a lot of really good production from their starting 5 and their 6-man Grayson Allen, and we'll get to that when we talk about the bright side. Another thing that I have in my my burn book, if you will. Let's see this guy.
Dillon, the villain.
And Dillon Brooks isn't in my burn book because of his production. We're definitely going to be talking about him on the bright side because offensively he was fantastic tonight. Yep. But what's bullshit, and the reason what's in my burn book is that technical foul that he got at the end of the game. Yeah. Like, come on, what is that horse shit? Yeah. He's sitting there, he gets called for a foul. His first foul of the game, mind you, didn't come till the fourth quarter. It's funny because I literally wrote an article on Bright Side of the Sun 2 or 3 days ago saying you live by the Dillon, you die by the Dillon. And in that article, I really fortified the point that the next step for him in being a productive player within the confines of this team, and it might not be possible because he is who he is simply just some self-awareness. And he displayed that self-awareness tonight. Then after he got called from the foul, they show the conversation that happened with the official, and it didn't look like anything derogatory, anything violent, anything not clapping in the face. He might have said the F word or something, but even after the game end, the broadcast showed him he's trying to understand in talking to the official, what is the why? Why did I get called for this technical foul? And ultimately, I guarantee you, this should be his 14th technical foul because his last one was rescinded. Do you think that this one gets rescinded too?
Yeah, I hope so, because it's like you mentioned, I would just use the simple argument. His first foul did not come until 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And this was a much calmer, sort of in a good way, less aggressive, at least on defense, Dillon Brooks tonight. They should definitely rescind that technical foul, man. I would definitely say something to the league if I was in power with the Phoenix Suns, because that they definitely need to, because I think he's 2 away from getting a 1-game suspension too.
He is. If this is 14, this is 14. If this one doesn't get rescinded, he's 2 games away. We are officially on Dillon watch for the rest of the season. We got 39 games to go or whatever it is, or 40 games to go, and we're watching Dillon Brooks to make sure he's not getting more technical fouls. For those of you who don't recall how the rule works, when you hit the 16th technical foul of the season, you get a 1-game suspension. You then get your 17th technical foul on 18. You get suspended on 20, 22, 24, progressively. Every 2 games, you get a suspension. And Dillon Brooks, I feel did a really good job playing within himself, not being overly emotional, playing the game. And then finally at the end, he just is dude, he asked a question, probably a little too aggressive for the ears and the ego of the official, and gets a technical foul. And it's unfortunate because that, like his last technical foul, which occurred gosh, who was it against the Heat? I think it was against the Heat was the last
Yeah,
one he
I
got.
think so.
Yeah, it was Norman Powell. He was fouling Norman Powell
Oh yeah.
on the play. These are reputation technical fouls, and they need to kind of let them go, because if they're constantly getting rescinded, it should say something to the officials. It's like, hey, maybe we are being a little too harsh and just being too, because if LeBron James does that, LeBron James does do that.
Yep.
He gets called for a foul, and he's sitting there harassing officials. He's touching officials.
Yep.
He's showing officials what he
Mhm.
did. He's blocking. And nothing.
Yep. Yeah, it's BS, man. You got to feel like they're just targeting Dillon Brooks at this point, because it always comes back to the Suns. Like, the Suns are always the bad guys sometimes, especially the last couple of years. Although I feel like the Suns are trying to change that bad written or bad drawn picture. They're not trying to be that team anymore. And Dillon Brooks is like, he's our F shit up guy, like you say on the drop. You've been saying it all season long, but just let this one go, man. They definitely need to rescind this one for sure.
I concur. And we'll see. We'll probably find out midday tomorrow, and then SunsGeek will make a video about it. Another thing that I have in my burn book. Well, let me ask this. Do you have anything written down in your burn book, my friend, before I continue on mine? And then we get to the good stuff.
Well, my crappy internet is definitely in the burn book tonight. If this keeps going, I might just switch to my phone because it's just cutting out every like 2 minutes here. But I'm gonna just say this, man. I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but I'm just gonna. I mean, you know me. I like to take my notes and all of that. It was that second quarter, man. I mean, I want to say they closed out the. Did they score 40 points in that second quarter?
42 for the
42 Nets. Points in the second quarter. They ended it on a 15-2 run. Like, I don't know what happened there, man. I don't know if that was just bad Suns defense, which I try not to believe in because we are a great defensive team, or if it was just really hot shooting from a young, athletic Brooklyn Nets team that is used to being down. And then, like we've kind of mentioned before, like just giving them that life, man. Like, that could have been me and you out there. But if the Suns are going to let us pop those threes, let's just keep shooting them, man. So that's my burn book.
One thing that I have in my burn book, and I want to get your point of view on this. So I've said on numerous occasions that the Oklahoma City Thunder have the worst logo in the NBA. I believe that right there. Brooklyn has the most boring ass uniforms in the NBA.
Yep. Yeah,
they are just boring, and it's crazy because, like, the Nets, if you look at the history of the Nets and you go back and you look at some of their uniforms going back to the ABA days, the Derek Coleman days in the early 90s, they had some, nice looking uniforms. Wasn't a fan of the ones they wore with Jason Kidd and Vince Carter when they went to the finals in consecutive years and they lost back to back. But worse uniforms, dude. Those are fucking horrible uniforms.
And even their court isn't that great either. It's kind of like dull looking and boring looking. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And in all fairness, some of those 2000s ish Nets jerseys, I think they're better than what they have now. I mean, they're not the best, but yeah, they're better than what they have now for sure.
They got some color to them. I don't know. They're just like black and white, just Nets, and like
like
a third grader designed them. All right, so the only other thing I have in my burn book before we get to the bright side of things, the things went right tonight, because after all, the Suns did win. They won their 26th game of the year. They are now 12-12 on the road, which is fantastic. Devin Booker, not an all-star. Not surprised they announced the all-star starters today. Devin Booker ended with the 9th most player votes, media votes 12th, and then fan votes 16th. Do you find it interesting that he gets such high accolades from his peers, but not from the fans?
That's a complicated question because it's like Devin Booker hasn't had the most, all-star-ish book year that we're all used to him having. Obviously, especially last season was a disaster, so that affects kind of his image. But it's like we all know what Devin Booker does night in and night out. Even if it's not an efficient night, we all know Devin Booker is a superstar. You heard it here first. He's a superstar. All his fellow peers and players know it. The coaches know it. GMs, etc. I don't know if all the media knows it, especially the bigger media that's all there for clickbait and stuff. But the important people know it, you know what I mean? And us kind of media or content creators, fans of this team know it. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of sucks that he isn't as high or getting as many votes. Even when like the first batch of votes came out, it seemed like he was pretty low. So I don't really know if that answers your question, but
it's like No Good says in the chat, Devin Booker is your favorite player's favorite player.
Exactly.
You know? Now, what's interesting is if you look at the Western Conference NBA All-Star starter voting results, right? And that takes in the player rank, the fan rank, and the media rank. And the media or the fan rank counts for 50% of this.
Yep.
4 of the guys are international guys. Jokic, Doncic, SGA, and Wembanyama. The only American guy is Curry, and he's got a fan base voting behind him, right? I mean, you take a look at it. Let's see here. So I mean, the challenge will always be 2 things, I feel like. One, Devin Booker hasn't jumped teams enough to garner stands along the way, right? We saw that with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant came here. It was his 4th team. He had picked up fans along his journey, starting in OKC, going to Golden State, in Brooklyn, coming here, and now obviously in Houston. And he ends up with, with 1.5 million fan votes. Devin Booker ends up with over 1 million less than that. And part of that's because he's here in Phoenix. Part of that's because our fan base doesn't apparently vote very often. I know I voted every chance I could, but that doesn't make me better than anybody else. But the other side of that, again, is the fact that he doesn't have an entire country behind him, right? All of Serbia is voting for Jokic. SGA gets all of Canada. Wemby's got all of France. Just kind of the way it goes. But that's it for now on my Booker All-Star conversation. I didn't think in any world he was going to be a starter. And just obviously the news came out today. We will know, I think, what did they say? February 14th is when we'll know who the actual entire team is, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, it's coming up soon. They're going to start announcing all the other all-star stuff here soon, and we'll know soon.
Perfect. All right, well, let's talk about the good things that happened in tonight's victory, because after all, we scored 126 points.
Tell me the right side.
All right, what do you want to start with, SunsGeek? What's the first thing that's in your notes relative to the good things that happened tonight?
Well, since we're sort of on the topic of him, I know it wasn't his best game, but can you play the Devin Booker drop?
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Big Dick Booker. Booker, 10 of 18 from the field tonight, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. He had 24 points. He had 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and 3 turnovers in this game.
Not the best game by far from Devin Booker, but I feel like he hit some really important shots when it mattered. You know what I mean? And his playmaking was really good tonight. Just trusting his teammates, finding the open guy. And we sort of referenced this here and there, just Devin Booker showing up when it matters. And I feel like tonight was a prime example of that. Even if it wasn't his most efficient, even if it wasn't his most pretty game, he was out there, he was doing his job. And that's why we love Devin Booker, man.
So what I'll say is he ends with 24 points. It felt like a lot more to me. At one point he scored, and they're like, and that's 22 points for Booker. I'm like, shit, man. Like, I thought he was pushing 30 because he was effective tonight. And it's interesting because that conversation's kind of been going back and forth. I had an article that I wrote on Bright Side of the Sun talking about how sharing some conversations that we've had and other members of the fan base have kind of been percolating. I talked about it with Ben Garcia on the Locked On Phoenix Suns podcast about how this version of Devin Booker might not be the most efficient, but I'll take this version of Devin Booker every day of the week and twice on Sundays because he's leading the team, that he's doing the little things that equate to winning. And you can score and be efficient all day long. It doesn't always equate to winning. We saw that in early his career. We saw that with Kevin Durant here last year. He's one of the most efficient players ever, but he's not doing the little things to help you win. He's firing off at people on Twitter. He's focused on that right before he goes out and he scores his 35th thousandth point rather than focus on scoring his 35th thousandth point and helping the team win. And so tonight was a great, an efficient night by Devin Booker. And the thing that I love about Devin Booker, he had back-to-back possessions where he set up Mark Williams for dunks. And
Yep.
and you take a look at this season. I was doing some research, outside of the fact that Devin Booker has attempted the least amount of field goal attempts per game since his rookie year this year. But the other thing is his playmaking has truly improved as the season's gone on. We know at the front end of the season, he was leading the league at one point through the first couple weeks in total turnovers. And his assist to turnover ratio for his first 22 games was 1.8. In his last 16, it's 2.2. He's improving his playmaking. And the phrase that has almost become blasphemous or definitely taboo in the time that since Devin Booker's come to Phoenix in the last 11 years, in the last 4 years, every time you say it, you have to either justify it. It's point book. Point book isn't a taboo phrase anymore, SunsGeek. He's playing a quality version of a modern day point guard, right? We don't have a point guard. And if you say Colin Gillespie is the point guard, he's not a distributor in the traditional sense. He's a point guard in the traditional sense relative to size. But if you're looking at somebody who truly opens up the team, it's the guy who creates the most gravity. And that, in this case, has been all season long, Devin Booker. And tonight was another one of those nights. Again, he only had those 4 assists, but he gets a lot of hockey. He's tops in the league in hockey assists, where he passes the ball to a guy who then passes the ball to a guy who scores, and that all is predicated on the actions he creates and the astuteness of his teammates to either knock down the shots or get it to the guy in the next action.
Yep, and that's exactly why Devin Booker should be an all-star reserve. That's why I try to just kind of ignore the fan voting and all that. I used to be big on it. I used to make a video every time it would come out. Now I'm just like, oh, who cares? Whatever. Devin Booker should be an all-star. Definitely deserves to be one this year. And did you see that Rajon Rondo-esque kind of pass that he did when he was drawing in defenders and then just threw it up to Mark Williams, man? Beautiful, beautiful feed.
It's funny. Sean in the chat says K-Ray calls them bookmarks, kind of growing on me. That's actually Shane Young. If anybody knows who Shane Young is, used to write for Forbes. He now writes for Suns.com.
Doing a great job, by the way.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He's the one who coined that phrase. But again, I think that it was a game that showcased his efficiency after people have been talking about his efficiency. Now, granted, he was 1 of 4 from beyond the arc, shooting 25% tonight. Doesn't help his overall 30.1% on the field. But my whole point in the article that I wrote, my whole point in the conversations that I've had with people recently are, don't just focus on the box score when you talk about this team, because sometimes the box score can look junky, right? But they're doing the junky stuff on the court that doesn't always show up. Again, hockey assists don't show up on the box score, but that's where Devin Booker excels. And so it's always something I'm reticent to people. There's people who box score watch and there's people who watch the games. And I go back here, but I'm going to go back there. DeAndre Ayton was a box score god, right? People look at the box score like, well, he had 19 and 11. It's like, yeah, man, but he could have had 25 and 15 if he gave a shit more, if he was more in a position to be more successful. I'll never forget, man, Thanksgiving, 2, 3, 4 years ago, Matthew and I were in Amarillo, Texas, and the Suns played. I want to say the Nuggets. Maybe it wasn't them, but he went for 20 rebounds. It was the Mavs. He went for 20 rebounds one time against the Mavericks. And I came on the podcast and I was so fucking pissed because he couldn't grab a rebound off of a missed free throw that the Mavs had shot, and the Mavs got it back, won the game because. He had all those cool. He didn't grab the one that counted. So again, that's why when we talk about Devin Booker, it's just a reminder: don't always look at the box score. Look at the body of work, and actually, you can tell who watches the games and who doesn't based on their opinion of Devin Booker this year.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad you mentioned DeAndre Ayton because I was going to go on a short little tangent. Can you play the Mark Williams drop by chance?
You got it.
Yeah, Mark Williams is a bad man. Yeah, ripping rebounds, blocking shots, playing like a madman. Yeah, crowd go wild when he raised that hand. Pain in the paint, that's the master plan. Bad man.
I'm vibing out to that one, man. But no, so we all know DeAndre Ayton. I don't even want to. That's for another podcast. But Yusuf Nurkic. Drew Eubanks, Mason Plumlee, what other big men have we had on this team that I'm totally forgetting about? My point being is that I feel like from probably training camp, if not before that, Devin Booker loves playing with Mark Williams because this guy runs the floor. He is a beast in the paint. He is long and athletic and block shots, or in today's case, literally ripped down shots like he was Bill Russell. He was fantastic. As the last comment just said, the lobs to him were fantastic tonight. Mark Williams played a great game. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think at one point Mark Williams went on a 6-0 run by himself. You know what I mean? Like, he was that good tonight. And sort of like with the box score, and it's like, oh, I'm just looking at the stats. Sometimes his stats may not blow you away, but he really does make an impact with his defense, rebounding. There was one play where I forgot who he was guarding, but like he stayed on his feet and the player missed the shot, and then he went up and grabbed the rebound himself. Like he's kind of underrated with that, like staying on his feet, guarding a guy who's smaller than him and contesting the shot. Like, he does those little things out there. I thought he had a great game tonight, man.
Yeah, he was 5 of 6 from the field, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. He had 8 rebounds, 3 of them of the offensive variety. Also had 16 points. So 16 and 8, as Suns Worldwide says in the chat, the loudest 16 and 8. And there was a game 2 or 3 games ago where I was like, you know who played really good tonight was Mark Williams. And I played his drop and I was looking at the stats. It's like, wow, the stats, they're not there. But from what I saw tonight, and tonight's a great example of where Mark Williams excels. We don't see a lot of Oso tonight. We only saw 19 minutes of Oso. Why? Because Nick Claxton isn't somebody who's going to pull Mark Williams out. And this team, this young Brooklyn Nets team, isn't attacking Mark Williams because Mark Williams is a drop defender. He's not going to excel at guarding the perimeter. He can guard the perimeter, but Oso Ighodaro is a much better player guarding the perimeter and running actions out of his, slot above the break, which you don't do with Mark Williams. But in this game, because of the opponent, Mark Williams had the opportunity to shine. And it's just a reminder to everybody, okay? He went for 16-8 tonight. It's like I said, we played the same team on the 27th. So if you go to FanDuel that day, just like Mark Williams double-double, I'm going to put my money on that on the 27th, like guaranteed, because it's going to be sitting right there for you. But I agree with you right there. Mark Williams, an absolute beast in this game. And like you said, that 6-0 run, it was great to see how he's, again, consistently providing positive things on the court. He doesn't hurt you. Nick Richards hurts you, right? That's the challenge with Nick Richards. It's like, I like Nick Richards. He has some physical capabilities. I like him as a depth piece, but he
has flashes.
He does. He has flashes, but he hurts you, and he knows it. He knows that he hurts you. Another guy who doesn't hurt you, at least tonight, Royce O'Neal, my friend.
Yeah, bling, bling, bling. Royce, yeah, nigga, Royce.
Those games where you look at the box score and you go, okay, 4 of 8 from the field, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. He had 5 assists. He had 3 rebounds. He had only 11 points. Of all of the starters, he had the least amount of points. But his 3-pointers were absolutely huge, in my opinion, because this was a game of runs, right? This is a game where you take a look at the second quarter, the Brooklyn Nets put together a 15-2 run. In the third quarter, their longest run was 7 points, but in the fourth quarter, they had a run of 12
they
points,
kept going on those runs. They kept climbing back into this game. Props to them.
And Royce O'Neal's the one who'd put out the flames, man. They get within 4. Royce O'Neal 3 to make it 7 again. And you, as a fan or somebody watching the game, you kind of exhale with it because going back to Brooklyn, a place he played early in his career, the rims were definitely kind to him tonight, my friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I even tweeted this out. He hit a 3-pointer, I want to say with like 2 something left late in that fourth quarter. And real quick, Grayson Allen had a beautiful pass to him. So great court vision by Grayson. I think he like pump faked and drove in, just kind of like dished it off to Royce. But when he hit that 3, I was like, okay, we are good. Not the prettiest win, but we were going to win the game now because of that 3. But like you said, man, he kind of fanned the flames. Shout out to the Fanning the Flames podcast. He did though. Like every time it seemed like they were getting closer, it'd be a Royce O'Neal to kind of reel us back in, man. And that's just some of the, I feel like we've been talking about that kind of a lot. Like every time I've been on the podcast lately, like he's just there to hit big threes, to sometimes be our quarterback out there. And I mean, an actual quarterback out there, make smart passes, make smart decisions, hit clutch threes when we need him, be a good veteran leader. He was great tonight, man. Forget what the box score says.
Exactly. And a guy who looked great in the box score, so great that, yes, we play his drop twice tonight.
Dillon, the villain.
Dillon led all scorers in this game, 27 points, 8 of 15 from the field, beautifully efficient. He was 6 of 9, giggity, from beyond the arc, 5 total rebounds, a couple assists, ended with 3 personal fouls. And as you mentioned, he got his first personal foul with like 4 minutes left in the game. But this is what we want from Dillon. This is the past couple games. Again, he had those 2 games, right? The one against Miami plus the one against Detroit, where he played in 2 games. He had 11 fouls. He had 2 flagrants. He had 1 technical. It was rescinded, but and was unbelievably inefficient. He was like 3 of some. In one game, he was 1 of 10 from beyond the arc, right?
Yep.
I know because I bet on him on FanDuel to hit 2 threes in that game, and he goes 1 of 10. I'm like, come on! I know he's going to take the shots. But to his credit, the last 2 games, the one against the New York Knicks, the one tonight against the Brooklyn Nets, looking more efficient, looking more in control, right where we need him to be is Jalen Green is waiting for us.
Well, we were talking about it last podcast, man. Like Dillon Brooks is the kind of guy that's really going to dive into the film. And I feel like he might have done that because he just looked a lot more patient this game. And you would think it would kind of be the opposite. This is the Brooklyn Nets. There was no defense played by either team tonight, especially by Brooklyn, because we had 72 points in the first half. But you would think like, man, he would have attempted so many shots in the first half alone. But no, he was in control this game, like you said. I feel like a lot of those shots were not forced. He kind of was just giving what the defense allowed him, but just taking his time, making sure he had the right shot. And I also thought to an extent, some of his playmaking was really good out there as well. Like he had that one play where he was under the basket and dished it out to Colin Gillespie out the corner 3. It just goes to show how smart Dillon Brooks is. And I kind of feel like we talked about this the other day, but it was like, I really wonder if like the coaches had a productive, I don't know, but maybe like a productive conversation with him, just said, hey man, like you're shooting just a little too much, like we appreciate the aggressiveness, but you're shooting just a little too much. Maybe calm it down for a little bit. Hopefully he can kind of keep that up, because if we can get like a patient Dillon Brooks on offense who's more in control and can hit those shots when the defense gives it to him, I think we can win a lot of games, man. We'll have to see what happens next game, take it game by game, 100%. But I'm glad that he sort of tuned it down a little bit, because remember, I think it was last game you were like, he only took 13 shots or something like that. Like it's a step in the right direction for sure.
Exactly. And in the same breath, I think that, yes, he's a cerebral player. And he's somebody who does dive into the film, and there's clear adjustments that are going on, and they're productive. And what I like about Dillon is if he's if he feels a heater coming, he's going to start to jack up some shots, right? Everybody does, but in the same breath, he needs to know, hey, I feel the heater coming on. Oops. The heat's going off. Time for me to cool off.
Especially against some of these better teams in the league who you're going to be facing soon. Like you don't want to be launching like 20 shots.
And when Jalen Green comes back, that's where he's going to excel, because that's what he was doing with Houston. He was the fuck shit up guy on defense, and I'm wide open for 3 because the defense has collapsed, because Jalen Green's penetrated and touched the paint, plus Amen Thompson, plus Jabari Smith. I mean, there was a lot of guys who opened up the offense, and obviously Fred VanVleet was orchestrating it all last year, and he was the guy who was open for 3 and did a good job doing that. That role will soon return, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about the preview for the next game. I got to give a shout out to my guy Colin Gillespie in this one.
Your villain junior is Colin Gillespie.
And
Gillespie. 22 points from Colin Gillespie. He was 7 of 10 from the field, 5 of 7 from beyond the arc, 5 assists, 5 total rebounds. He was one of, let's see here, 1, 2, 3. I mean, he shot 71% from beyond the arc, But if you talk about field goal percentage, Dillon Brooks shot 53%, and Royce O'Neal shot 50%. Mark Williams shot 83%. Devin Booker shot 55%. Colin Gillespie shot 70%. Grayson Allen was 38.5, slacker. Oso was 100%. But Colin Gillespie, fantastic in this game. And what I've appreciated about him tonight was his affinity for touching the paint, because I think that that's the next real important step for this team. Is they're a team that was 28th in the league at finishing at the rim or taking shots at the rim. It's something early in the season I thought that we'd see more of, but as the team has progressed and they've decided that they're a 3-point volume shooting team, a team that shoots the most 3-pointers in transition more than anybody in the league. 50% of the time, if they're in transition, they're jacking up a 3. He started to touch the paint a little bit more, and I think that that's important because, again, that's how you open up those effective 3-point shooters. He was doing that tonight, combined with the fact that when other members of the team, specifically Devin Booker, were touching the paint, he's the one who's receiving the pass, and he was knocking down the threes, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of referenced this a couple times during the podcast, but this is kind of the game where you want to kind of find your shot again. And he was great in the last game as well. So it's kind of good to see this version of Colin Gillespie, who for a little bit, in the first half of the season, he was in the running for like most improved player, 6th man of the year, or something like that. These are the kind of games and numbers and the kind of efficient games that are going to get you back in that conversation. Obviously, he went on a little bit of a slump. It's fine. Dillon Brooks had it. Jordan Goodwin had it. It happens, blah, blah, blah. But he was really calm and in control in this game. And I said this on a podcast or 2 podcasts ago with you. When he gets on a heater, man, it is something special. It's fun to watch, man. So this was a great Colin Gillespie game, man.
Heck yeah. And like you said, the more that this happens again, it just showcases that slump is truly behind him, which I think we're all excited for that. What do you got in your bright side? Anything of note?
Let me just double check. Sorry, normally I have this ready to go, but I forgot to mention that Royce had a nice lob to Oso Ighodaro.
He did.
And I can't get over that Grayson Allen pass, man, to Royce O'Neal, which it kind of in a weird way won us the game. But also there was one play where Devin Booker missed a 3-pointer. Grayson Allen back tapped it to Devin Booker, who drained the 3-pointer. So maybe we should play the Grayson Allen drop.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good call.
Let me tell you a little story about a guy who shoots threes. Everyone hates him because he's a dookie. He's pretty underrated if you're asking me. His name is Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen ends tonight with a grand total of 14 points. He was 4 of 10 from beyond the arc. 8 total assists, man. He led the tip of the spear. And the Suns, 65% of their field goals were off of assists. They had 29 assists on 44 made field goals, and Grayson was a big part of that.
Yep. Even though he was 4 for 10 from 3, kind of like Royce O'Neal, some of those threes were in big moments when we really needed like a spark or we needed those threes. But notice how I've been talking more about his passing tonight. 8 assists, man. That is an underrated passer right there. Had some key assists in some key moments. And then I took note, he had a couple and ones tonight. One of them specifically, like he had kind of like a double crossover, drove to the rim and drew the and one. He was really good tonight, man. Again, the box score, the shooting isn't going to really look so great. Who cares, man? Get those threes up, get those shots up. I think coming into this game, he was 17 for 47 for 3 or something like that. I don't even care, man. Like, just keep launching those threes. And especially when we are going to play some better teams down the road, some of these Eastern Conference teams, we're going to need Grayson Allen to get hot.
Oh, 100%. And he's been there recently. He had that one game after he came back and he was like 0 of 6 from the field and 0 of 6 from beyond the arc. And everyone's like, we should trade him. And then after that, he's just he's showcased what makes him a valuable player on the Phoenix Suns. All right, let's go subreddit. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. The subreddit stakeout is brought to you by Nettles Air Conditioning.
You need a unit, we've got you covered. NettlesAir.com is where to go, brother. Call 623-444-4888. Nettles Air makes your home feel great.
Woo! All right. I was in Brooklyn tonight, Gotham City. Going, where is she? Not a lot here. This is a quick one. Not a lot of engagement on the Brooklyn Nets subreddit. I think it's funny because the name of their subreddit, like if you go to the Sun subreddit, it's r/Suns. And you go to the Clippers, it's like r/LA Clippers. Theirs is r go Nets. But here's some good ones in here. Let's see.
They're rebuilding. It's like they'll get a fan base. They'll get more engagement.
Well, and that's what you see. Like, I generally go to the opposing fan base because I want to hear what they have to say about the Phoenix Suns. They weren't sitting there talking about the Phoenix Suns so much. They're talking about, Nolan Traore and what their rookies are looking like and what is Danny Wolf giving them. And that's what they should be doing. But here's some things that they had to say about the Phoenix Suns. Gillespie takes even less shots at the rim than Igor, by the way. You can see how impactful him and Grayson are just by being nuclear shooters orbiting around Booker. That's
not wrong at all.
Not wrong at all. It's actually a very good, astute observation. Get your ass up, Booker. Stop begging for a call. Good thing the Nets traded those Suns picks. Remember, we traded. Yeah, they're looking at the Suns play and they go, you know what? I'm glad we don't have their picks. I'm glad we got something out of those and gave them to Houston because the Suns, I mean, at this point, if you think about it, right, our 2026 pick is already gone. And that's when we lost, I want to say the Bradley Beal trade, but like 2027, it's a swap essentially, isn't it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
The Suns are doing a great job defending MPJ. Remember how brutal Royce drives were? Now he's finishing at the rim. I didn't want to tell them, but he does still struggle with that. He finished a couple times tonight. Devin Booker, I'm sorry. Rumors of your demise were wildly exaggerated. Like, damn, these guys are nice to us tonight, man. And one of the funny ones, because remember that this is a team that's trying to tank. Right, even though they just drafted 5 rookies, they still want to tank. We need to pile up some L's. Utah's entered the tank race. They're putting Amish and Mormons on the court with no shame attached. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. All right, SunsGeek, anything else in your notes before we hand out some hardware?
I'm just glad we got the win, man. I mean, again, it's not the prettiest win. Maybe a couple of years ago or even last season, I'd be like, oh, man, this was such a frustrating win, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm like, you know what? A win is a win. Like Vin Diesel once said in Fast and the Furious, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. A win is a win. So I'm glad we got the W. And hopefully Jamari Bouye is okay. He was active tonight. He was playable. I saw some people talking about it in the chat. That dude, sometimes we could use his scoring, man. He's been one of the biggest surprises of the Suns season, full of a lot of surprises, by the way. Hopefully he's okay. And are we going to talk about Jalen Green at all?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about him when we preview tomorrow's game. But I will say that, yes, Jamari Bouye finally available after concussion protocol. And I was kind of hoping this is a game we'd see him because, in theory, this is a game we should have blown them out. But because they kept pushing the envelope, we didn't get a chance to see any of the young guys and or Jamari Bouye. But he's right around the corner. And honestly, he's going to be somebody who is not going to – he's going to see some of his minutes fade into the ether as Jalen Green comes back. But let's talk about the Jam Star in this one because this could be an interesting conversation.
Jam Star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder to subscribe, rate, and review both here on the Suns Jam Session podcast YouTube channel, or if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you rate us 5 stars, and do the same thing on SunsGeek's channel. Subscribe, rate, and those thumbs up. They really help with the algorithms and lets people know where you like to hang out, because if you're not telling people verbally, tell them with your digital footprint. The Jam Star of the game is brought to you by Bubba Chubbs Cards and Collectibles. You can go to BubbaChubbsCards.com, and you can follow them at Bubba Chubbs Cards on Instagram. Make sure to utilize code BUBBA10 to get a discount. Tell them the Suns Jam Session guys sent you there. They got some really cool cards. In fact, I got some cards in the mail. So All right, Jamstar. Who are you giving it to in this one, SunsGeek? Because this is kind of a tough one. I'll give you your nominees, man. You got Dillon Brooks at 27, Devin Booker at 24, Colin Gillespie had 22, Williams had 16 and 8, Royce had 11, Grayson had 14 off the bench. Who do you give it to in this one, man?
Man, you know what? The fact that we're like struggling to figure out who the jam star of the game is just music to my ears. Like when you were reading some of those percentages earlier too, that was music to my ears, man. Like these are good problems to have, Phoenix Suns fans. But you know what? I'm going to give it to Dillon Brooks, man, especially since he was in a little bit of a slump too. He just played such a great game tonight. Very efficient, very in control. It is Dillon Brooks for me. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Dillon as well, I think, just because he needed a bounce-back game, right? The last game against the Knicks, he didn't hurt the team, which was huge because that's been one of the challenges with him, right? Like sometimes he hurts us, as we saw against the Pistons, as we saw against the Miami Heat. But in this case, in that game, he had like 6 points or something. In this game, 27 points. And there's no wrong answer here. I see people giving it to Gillespie. They're giving it to Brooks. They're giving it to Shirtless Book. For the Jam Star, so I'm giving it to Dillon Brooks as well. He earns the Jam Star. All right, up next tomorrow, the Suns have the 5th game of their 6-game road trip. They're headed to the city of brotherly love to play the Philadelphia 76ers, who played tonight. And again, I needed Tyrese Maxey to score 30 points. He ended with 29, but they did get the win over the Pacers, so they're playing on the second night of a back-to-back as well. And the news here, my friend, is Jalen Green's going to play. So what are you looking for in this game? How are you feeling going into this one, knowing that Jalen's back?
Well, you referenced it earlier in the show, and I did give credit to him in my video. John Gambadoro was the first one on that. I always try to give credit where credit is due. But yeah, it looks like Jalen Green is going to play. Head coach Jordan Knott said, and I quote, if everything goes – I forgot what he says, sorry, but if everything goes smoothly, pretty much, he will be playing. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. I don't know if he's going to start, but that's okay because we all know Jalen Green can light it up. It's going to be interesting to see how he fits back into our rotation, how many shots guys are going to get with him on the court, how many minutes certain players are going to get. And the Sixers have had a really weird season. Like you mentioned, I think they're on a back-to-back just like we are. But like, don't sleep on them either. Like Tyrese Maxey, isn't he an all-star starter? He had 29, 8 and 8 tonight, 8 steals, by the way. Joel Embiid, when he does play, he's a really good player.
He had 30 tonight.
Yeah, exactly. VJ Edgecombe is really good. He's a talented young rookie. They have some other guys that can play over there. Don't sleep on the Sixers team, man. This would be a pretty big win if we can get him. And hopefully just Jalen Green can play and just look like the Jalen Green that we saw in that one game. You know what I mean? Just get his feet under him, get some shots up. That's kind of why I wanted him to play tonight, strangely,
Yeah, I was actually with you. I thought that he should have played tonight. If they're trying to determine based on rest, it's like I would have said play him tonight and let him sit tomorrow, because I feel like this would have been a good game to kind of get him out there and get him used to. Now, granted, it's better that he didn't because obviously the team won. But I will say this as well. If you're a Suns fan, don't expect the 29 performance like we saw against the Clippers. He was spurred on by the home crowd. They're going to Philly, not a great place to play, but he's also somebody that, it's going to take some adjustments for the fans. And I think that there's been this mythological aura around who and what Jalen Green ultimately could be when he joins this team again, because we saw that 29-point performance. And for those of you who didn't watch Jalen Green play at all last year, he's somebody who is an inefficient player, much like a lot of players on this team, primarily from beyond the arc. He's somebody who rushes his shot too much, in my opinion. He's somebody who takes untimely threes, right? Like you need a great example was like Karl Anthony Towns in the last game, right? There was like 6 or 7 minutes left in the game. They had just gotten the Suns into foul trouble, and what they needed to do was continue to attack the Phoenix interior and get to the line. And Karl Anthony Towns in transition, not even in transition, just above the break, shoots an air ball 3, and there's no one down there to get the ball. Like that's an untimely 3. That's a bad decision. Jalen Green's been known to do that. So I just want to temper some expectations. I'm unbelievably excited to see him because he is vitally important to what the Suns' long-term strategy ultimately is. What is he as a $33 million player? Is he somebody who fits right in and somebody who's going to, take that gravity away from Devin Booker, and all of a sudden Devin Booker becomes more efficient, starts pouring in some more points because he doesn't have to have every defense trying to blitz him every time he has the ball. Can he truly take that gravity off? Or is he somebody who struggles with the way that he is relative to his consistency and things of that nature? And none of that can be answered in tomorrow's game, in the next week, next month. It's going to take the rest of the season to truly evaluate who and what he is before the offseason comes, and the Suns are going to have to make a decision on what they want to do. But it all starts tomorrow because we do get to watch him play. It's almost like making a trade at the deadline, and you're bringing in a $33 million player, and we have an opportunity to see what he is. So the training wheels aren't necessarily going to be off yet, but at least we're finally getting to see him play again, man. It's been over 2 months, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I feel like he will be on a minutes restriction, but then again, Mark Williams was on a minutes restriction for a little bit, and he's been really good for us. And look, this is biased, optimistic, SunsGeek homer talking here, but like I've kind of been defending Jalen Green all season long. People are like, this hamstring injury is taking forever. How come Jalen Green gets hurt right when he gets traded to the Phoenix Suns? I'm like, guys, like this is kind of like a weird injury. Like you don't want to mess around with these things. Like, especially when we were winning the way we're winning and having a great, we're exceeding expectations and all that. And I get it. Like Suns fans are like, we're exceeding expectations. I want to see Jalen Green on this team. I get it, but it's like, got to be really careful with these things, guys. Like the staff on the Suns gets paid millions of dollars for decisions like this. And if they believe Jalen Green is ready to go tomorrow, that is fine. And I hope that Jalen Green will, one, stay healthy. We can really gauge what he can bring to this team. Hopefully he can look like the good, consistent Jalen Green that we have seen. And remember, guys, he's only like, 23 years old or something like that. I hope he's a Phoenix Sun for many, many years. Hopefully he can be productive. And as crazy as this sounds, maybe make an all-star team.
Hell
one
yeah.
day, man.
That means
I hope we get back to that Jalen Green.
With him and Dillon Brooks, and who knows what Kaman Malawach is going to be one day. We could have won that Kevin Durant trade, which is kind of
maybe
crazy.
Rasheer Fleming too.
100%, because you use those second round assets to move up and get him ultimately. So yeah, I just think that it's going to be interesting to see him out there. And I see some questions in the chat. I want to hit these. Mr. Devin Mitchell asks, will Jalen be limited tomorrow? My guess is he starts. Jornot said that he'll start in the past, and this was like a week ago. But my guess is they're going to take it as it plays out. I'm sure that Jornot, much akin to when Mark Williams came back at the front end of the season, had a solid plan. The thing you got to realize is this most likely was a grade 3 hamstring strain, and a grade 3 hamstring strain typically takes anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks or requires surgery. That's why they've tempered bringing him back to this point. And I wouldn't doubt that they handle him very carefully. Sean asks, what's your over-under on Green's points for tomorrow, Voida? If I was a betting man, which I am, I'd say 15.5. I don't think he's going to go out there and light up the world. I think that he just needs to get into the flow of the game and see how it goes. And we'll see what happens from there.
I'll take 15 points tomorrow for him. That works for me.
Dude, get 15 points on like 5 of 6 shooting, and I'm over the moon tomorrow. So
exactly.
On that note, Jamsters, thank you for hanging out with us. Another fun win for the Suns. 26 and 17 now? 26 and
26 and 17. Yeah.
Something like that. So, that's all we got for tonight. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Make sure you follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter, and the show at Suns Jam on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram. And you can read my writing over there at brightsideofthesun.com, where I'm the managing editor. SunsGeek, tell them where they can follow you.
Yep, just search SunsGeek and you will find me. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, X, or Twitter, but YouTube is my #1 platform. And you'll catch me a lot on this show in the future. And we've obviously done countless podcasts together, so I am proud to be a part of that 4K subscribers on your guys' channel. Keep up the great work, because you guys are the original post-game podcast for the Phoenix Suns. Let's go.
Appreciate it, SunsGeek. Appreciate everyone for hanging out. Go home and love your family.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast. shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.